Magic is Real listeners and friends. Thank you so much for being here. I'm very happy to have with me again one of my favorite people to follow on Instagram, Truth Seekah. Truth Seekah is a brilliant hip hop artist with your bio says over 200 songs. By now, you probably have more, but spiritual based songs, which are really cool. It's like some of a lot of spiritual music, it has a nice message, but it's not actually cool to like jam out to. But your music, I actually love. It really resonates. So Truth Seekah is also an Amazon bestselling author. He is a speaker, a researcher, and through his spiritual journey, he's come to learn a lot about, he's a Christian mystic. And he's come to learn a lot about spirituality in general, but also ufology, which is one thing, which is why I have him on today, because I would like to deep dive into the world of extraterrestrial beings, interdimensional beings, what it all has to do with spirituality, what it all means. So, Truth Seekah, thank you so much for being here. Again, it's always so much fun to speak with you and hear what you have to say.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure. We had a great conversation last time and I look forward to what we'll create today.
Me too. Thank you. I love your attitude. So, for those who may not have listened before or who may not be familiar with who you are, how would you describe yourself? I know that's a really broad question, but um, what is it that brought you into this field and piqued your interest in the first place? How did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, so describing myself, people throw titles out there and titles can be misleading and we read into them and different things mean different things to different people. But the term that I feel comfortable with is a Christian mystic. It describes my foundation into spirituality for the most part, a Christocentric foundation. And the mystical side is a little bit more broad for me. It paints with a broader stroke, but I think the two go hand in hand and always have and always will. So even though it seems like something far out of the box, I think the two go together because I think the Christian experience, the true experience, is a mystical experience. So I call myself a Christian mystic. What got me into this field is spiritual experiences from a young age, seeing things in my room at night, waking up in the middle of the night and seeing shadows and being pinned to my bed and all of that kind of stuff happening at an early age just led me to ask the bigger questions in life at an early age. And so that ended up getting me involved with Wicca and the occult and things that peer in the unseen, if you will. So looking into that and being attuned to it through movies and televisions and books and things like that, that world begins to open up a little bit more. Begin to be a little bit more susceptible, and then your perception changes a little bit, and you begin to see nuances. So um, that's what led me to where I am today. Mystical experiences, supernatural experiences, religion, back and forth with the dark is where I started, and then being in what I would consider the light of Christ, of beauty, of love, of majesty, of hope, of awe, of wonder, a light worker, if you will. So that's the gamma of the spectrums that I cover.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful way to explain it. Thank you. I love the idea of Christian mysticism because I think that there's so much in common, and a lot of time religion and spirituality clash. So you have a lot of Christian people, not all, but a lot of Christian people will be really averse and shy away from anything spiritual and um, don't believe in things like mediumship, and or they do, sorry, they do believe in it, but a lot of times they believe that it's evil spirits that you're communicating with, or they think, hey, it's not for you, it's not your job to send messages, that's God's job and God's only. And I think it's I love what your I love your ideas because you talk a lot about, Christ based faith, but in a mystical way where you can incorporate it all together. And how why is it that some people, I mean, what is the clash? What is the perceived clash? And why do you uh um and why do you say that there isn't one?
Yeah. Um, so where I believe it started is the fact that um, In the beginning, God created everything and called it good. Everything was good. And then something came along, took that good and inverted it, flipped it upside down. So when it comes to even these types of spiritual technologies that we have built within us, literally within our anatomy, the third eye, the pineal gland, you get chills and feel when spirits are in the room. Like our body is an antenna to communicate with beings and realms unseen. We're fearfully and wonderfully made. The Bible says that something comes in, sees that potential, sees that power, if you will, and inverts it, flips it upside down, takes it and uses it to um, contact evil spirits, if you will, but to demonize it, the practices, so that when you start waking up, you demonize all of that stuff. You think it's demonic because that's the first thing we've heard. The only thing we've heard about mediumship from the majority of us who've grown up in a Christian nation, so called, you psychics and mediums and those kind of things have been demonized by the church, but yet they practice these different forms of divination, of clairomancy, of all of the psychic phenomena that the clergy is doing under a different name and under a different guise. So I would say the terminology is what has demonized it and called it evil, and they've taught the followers. So evil is real. It's no big, everybody knows that. It's low hanging fruit, if you will, to know that demons and the dark side is very close to this realm. Um, Everybody has experiences or they've seen shadows and casting out demons. But when it comes to the angelic, when it comes to some of these higher abilities, for many Christians, they don't really have experience. So I think it's out of sight, out of mind for a lot of them. And with the demonic stuff being low hanging fruit that they've all dealt with, it seems like that gets all the attention. So what I like to do is go back to antiquity and see first mentions, the law of first mentions. Where did this stuff come from, and what was it called? So when we're talking about spiritual abilities, psychic abilities, all of that kind of stuff, the Bible doesn't use that terminology, but it describes it very much so, and even tutorials on how to do it the right way, and showing you examples of people doing it the wrong way and getting messed up. So when it comes to what has caused it to be evil and people to be scared of it, it's that, and I think it's something that's been done tactfully to take our power away. And you could just look back over the ages and the crusades and the witch hunts and all of that kind of stuff to see that anybody who was tapped into the realms unseen that wasn't going through the clergy was demonized and really hunted and killed through the inquisitions and many other means, and still goes on today to a degree socially. But if there has been a time where we need these spiritual practices and these connections with spirit and angels and ancestors, it's now.
Yeah, that's so well said. And this actually is a perfect segue because as I've been doing my own research and learning more about the spiritual world, I've been opening up to the idea of other types of beings other than just deceased loved ones and angels and spirit guides and God and ascended masters, as if there aren't enough already. And now I've become introduced to the idea that there are also these interdimensional beings that are what we may call ETs, um, traveling in UFOs. Now, I used to think a lot of that was when I was younger. I always thought that was kind of BS. I was like, it's government stuff. Um, I didn't really believe in it. I wasn't sure what to make of it. I I'm now understanding more that those movies that I grew up with, where the aliens invade our planet and they're actually peaceful beings, but we misunderstand them and think they're invading, and then we end up hurting them, is actually so real and based on like real life, actually. So I would love to know too, kind of how what you've learned, but also your own experiences with those types of beings or entities, or even just what opened your mind to that idea?
Yeah, the situation I just described was my situation.
Yeah.
Tapping into spirituality from the dark side of like going into demons and the occult and that kind of thing as a teenager. Somebody who knew that something was real, that some type of energy existed on the other side. So that's what got me into it. And then biting off more than I can chew, um, actually seeing entities that were darker and nefarious and things like that, um, pushed me to the light. I needed help. I ran to the light, Christ, whom the world calls Jesus Christ, right? So, knowing that those polarities exist, let me stay in the light because the dark side doesn't play fair, right? And they play for keeps. So, with my walk and the tapping into the beauty and the awe and the wonder of Christ, everything comes full circle. And I was led back to a lot of those spiritual experiences and things that I was seeking on the dark side. Because if it's true, then there is a polarity. Like if it's true that you can tap into this energy or practice for the dark side, then the polarity is you can deal with that for the light as well. So, it took me a long time because of um, PTSD, if you will, going into demons and being pulled into demonic trances and things like that. I wanted to shut away from all of that. And I think that that's where the majority of people are. But as I begin to open up to it and find these scriptures in the Bible about people being communicated with and waking up at the middle of the night and taken out of their bodies and traveling the heavens and beings coming through many different means and nature and stuff like that to talk to prophets and disciples and stuff, it opened me back up to the idea that maybe, these things are happening for the light and for the good. So I ended up going under the stars through just a series of means of watching videos and seeing people go under the clouds and stars and pray, and lights appear, what they would call ships or angels or chariots of fire, which the Bible talks about. And so some of the first videos I saw of people doing this back in 2008, like something shifted in me. I was like, hey, this is real, and this is deeper. And all the stuff that I've believed and have been studying, now there's somebody who's going out asking for a sighting and it's happening. So I ended up going out myself and doing the same thing. Um, Hours, nights, mornings, going out and asking God, praying, uh, if the angels are out there, if they're traveling back and forth from heaven to earth, as the Bible says they are, can I see one? And kind of like begging, to be honest with you, and just being persistent. And then eventually, I, I was able to see one. Start watching stars, and the stars begin to pulsate and move and stuff. And then they open up, and something flies out of a star and takes off. And I'm like, what the heck is that? And then, you know, dad just like, hey, maybe there's more. And just look into the stars and seeing all kinds of things that was blowing my mind. And it was connected with my consciousness of me asking, and so-called what they'll say a download, say, hey, look over here right now. You look up and there's one that blinks at you real bright, flies away. The thing that's like implanting a thought, telling you, hey, look here I am, but I've got to go. We're here watching over you. And synchronicities begin to happen, alignments in my life. I think of something, it's on television. I say a word, the radio says it. Just all of these crazy things that people are experiencing at mass right now, synchronicities in alignment. But it is linked to the angels of the scriptures, and it's linked to ufology of what people are seeing in the air and have no idea what they're seeing. And we're linked closer with it than we can ever imagine. Ever imagine.
Right.
literally.
Yeah, when you say we're linked closely with it, what do you mean exactly?
Man, I mean that what I would say, for the grand scheme of just what's happening is that there's a Earth is a school and a process that we go through to ascend, to go to higher levels of consciousness, other realms, other worlds. But we have to be proven to see that we can be trusted. And we're going through this process. And those who have ascended, who were here before, which we may call ancestors, we may call angels, they've ascended and they've achieved their light body vehicles, which is the chariots, or which is the term for a Merkaba, which is the symbol of what you see behind me, the Star of David. It's a
That's three,
tetrahedron
yeah.
that's spinning, 3D object.
Hmm.
And I've been able to film those recently. And so it's
Where are you filming them?
so with all of that process of going out under the stars for years, it was this thing where I couldn't wait to get under the stars every night or whenever I could, especially during a new moon, because there was less light in the sky from the moon. So during the new moon, you could see more stars and see more things moving, and I would see all kinds of things at night. I didn't know that you can see just as much during the day. And so it wasn't until just a couple months ago that I had a sighting during the day of like all of these things moving around the sun, circling the sun, coming out of the sun, that I saw with just my eyes. And got home and got binoculars out, started gazing at the sun, and started seeing all types of phenomena, what people will call ships or beings coming out of the sun and being stationary. So I started seeing them coming out and around the sun, flying into the sun, out of the sun, and in the different rays of the sun, seeing them in that. So pulled out my cell phone, started filming, finding different techniques that I've heard about over the years, but they weren't really successful for me. Tried it again, and started seeing all types of things on camera, and even some with the naked eye, going back to the computer with the footage and changing the light and the gamma and seeing all types of things that were hidden, that were flying around, communicating, traveling towards me, towards the earth, all types of just crazy phenomena that I was able to capture on camera. So I've been seeing them in the light, if you will, the different
Oh, that's
spectrums of light.
that's so cool. Have you been able to share them yet? Have you shared them with the public?
Yeah, so I've got so much. I guess I'm kind of like the media in a sense, where I want to control the narrative. Like you
Yes.
want to like, hold on, what is this before I just share it and put it out there? Let
Right.
let me look a little bit deeper. Like, is it dust? People, oh, this
Is
is
it a
dust.
solar flare?
Is it
Is
a
it a
solar
yeah?
flare?
Because you
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, asking those deeper questions, and then some of the ones that are just like mind blowing and the macabre stuff, I ended up putting out, and the video immediately went viral on Facebook, over 500,000 views, and people like watching the video and just many comments, people just weeping, watching the video, feeling a connection through their phones or computers with these entities, if you will, that are being filmed. Um, so I've released a little bit of it, and you have to slow it down because they move so fast.
Yeah.
It's fat, like with the naked eye, you have to train your eye to be able to see them because it's in the nuances. They're so close that we miss it with dust and wind and particles, and we've called them many things over the years, and um, lost. You have to retrain your eye on how to see them,
Yeah.
because there's um, you know concentrated efforts to block us from seeing this, but it's increasing in numbers so much that you don't have enough funding or enough whatever to power the different things that they're doing to block it. And they do a
Right.
great job at blocking it, but it's not constant, you know.
Yeah. Do
we're
you mean
able
the
to see so
do you
much.
mean the government blocking it or them themselves?
No, the government. Yeah.
Yeah, because they don't I would assume, like you said, they wanna control the narrative for one thing, but also, I mean, to some degree, I would assume letting it out could cause mass hysteria, everybody overreacts, they don't understand what's happening. In some ways, I'd love to know what you think about that. Like, is it a
Yeah.
good thing that it's being suppressed, or is it because we know how people are? Are they gonna handle it responsibly? Are they gonna be those jerks with the, like, machine guns when,
Yeah.
when, now granted, from what I understand, ETs, interdimensional beings, move so fast that you probably can't hurt them from here, but I can also see how people could, I don't know, go on the warpath or misunderstand their intentions.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a deep question, and you have to look at it both ways. Um, for so long, being in the so-called ufology community, everybody wants disclosure, we want to know the truth, and I think we can handle the truth now. And religion is, for the most part, they've let, at least the Catholic Church, let statements out about our space brothers and things like that, and um, people feel like, I think we're getting closer, but um, we're closer to a narrative that we think we know. So the narrative is little green men that are space brothers or whatever, and that's too simple. Uh,
Yeah, now when you say it's too simple, I'd love to hear more about that in terms of what you know or what you think. Where are these beings? Where do they exist? In another dimension? And if so, what does that mean?
yeah,
Or is it another actual planet or
yeah,
planets rather?
yeah. From what I know, is it's there's no way you can understand it.
Yeah.
Know that. I know that it's bigger and smaller, if you will, than you could ever understand. That they're so it's micro and macro. It's something that you can see next to the sun, that, let's say, that can be miles in radius, that in a moment can come to you in the size of a bubble. The same thing, or release things. Like, it's so far beyond our comprehension of the way information and technology travels. For one, we can just rest at how fast they travel, and I'm just floored at that, of the how fast that they can travel and do things in 3 seconds that would take us a lifetime.
Mhm.
And so that right there is just, once you capture this stuff on film and slow it down, you'll see them. I mean, within a second, they're like exchanging, gathering stuff out of the atmosphere, ions or souls, or gathering stuff and trading it with other ships. They fly off and deposit it into some rod in the air. I'm talking about far out, within 3 seconds. The only way you get to see all that is when I slow it down 90%, and it looks like it's a 3 second clip turns into a 30-minute clip, but it's frame by frame of like all, like a world within a world, that there's no way that our minds could comprehend it. We're starting to speed up our travel, and the way that we send information and the way that we travel, through, in the quantum realm. So they're ahead of us, way ahead of us. Like, whether, as far as, I don't know if you want to even count in years, but the way that they travel and the way that they move, we're slowed down. Um, that's with saying that is a little bit of how you can maybe try to see them at times with the naked eye. You can see them. Like, some of them are slower. There's some, like, that are smaller, that are fast like that, but other ones that are massive, that seem to move really slow. But um, they they would be cloaked, if you will, but you can see silhouettes, you can see outlines, and they hide in the clouds. So much stuff going on. It's They send energy. They watch over they take energy, our energy, the energy of the earth, of what the mass of the people are bringing. We have footage of things coming out of the clouds, taking energy out of people, that they would never see. It wasn't, they filmed themselves and took a selfie, in a 3 second selfie with the iPhone that just does that little motion capture. And in that motion, there was something that dropped down out of the clouds, went around this girl's head, and looked like it was either planting something or taking something. They never saw anything. It looked like a strike, a flash of lightning. Um, but we're talking about energies, spirits um, that govern, that
Yeah.
have been here, before time. Um, how we're being able to see them even more, is it something that's ramping up, or is there a veil being taken down? It seems like the consciousness of the people is raising to a state where we need them and we want them, and we're praying, we're asking for help, we're at rock bottom. um, the majority of humanity is choosing love, is saying, hey, we're ready to know who we are, why we're here, where we came from, and that's how they judge. If it's 2 or 3 people, they'll work specifically with those people. But when it's over 51% of the earth is getting an upgrade. So this is ascension. It's not just 1 or 2 people who are having these awakenings that we've been having for many years. It's the collective. And it's because of what we've been through. It's because of the energy that this is happening. And people are asking questions and they're getting the answers. They're reestablishing this connection with the beings that sent them here, if you will.
Yeah, I'm feeling intuitively and also noticing more and more, not that this is new, but that people are getting really tired of like the systems that we've built. Like we're starting to be like, this doesn't work. Like these systems that we've built are not working. And I think as we're all sort of realizing that we really we can't trust our government to take care of us. We can't trust other people to do the right thing. We can't always trust other people to be loving and not to be hurtful. That the more things just seem to be out of control and crazy and beyond our control, and the more wars we enter into and the more financial strife we're in, people are turning more and more to spirituality. Where when I was growing up, granted, I was born in the 70s, so it's like, yes, okay, it was kind of like the 70s were kind of groovy, but at the same time, it wasn't something that you talked about. Like people, at least in my sphere, spirituality wasn't really in the forefront, but I'm finding that maybe it is because I'm in that world, but more and more people are very open-minded and seeking something more. And like even just one of my best friends grew up really very religious and very Christian, and now has gotten out of the church, is going through trauma therapy for religious trauma, and is now like, I realize that I'm spiritual, and so I'm seeing more and more people sort of their lights popping on around me, and it seems to be a reaction too to the fact that we're like, okay, this we've all sort of been hanging on to these tangible things or these physical things, our jobs, our just whatever, like our work, our money, our things, our possessions. And then we're realizing that it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
And that when we don't have those things, what are we?
Yeah.
And yeah, so do you have any thoughts about that
Yeah.
generally?
No, it definitely, that's a huge part of it. I mean, just, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we've seen that, with the push of a button, it's all, it doesn't exist. You don't have
Yeah.
your job, you don't have anything. You don't have your best friend. You don't have your
Hmm.
cousin. You don't have your uncle, with the push of a button. And we're seeing that, and that's moving, that's shifting our hearts to love and to ask the bigger questions. When I say the love is to, it's a near death experience that many of us have went through, maybe quite literally. Um, but to have our foundation shaken, the thing that we thought was stable, our stability, was easily kicked out from under us, and we've kind of tried to repair that and go back to normal. Everything is normal. It's not
Yeah.
by any means. Um, but all of that had a huge part to do with it, um, because there's a spiritual process that takes place whenever people die, in which people die, and when souls are leaving the planet and ascending or being stuck in the ethers, when those angels, if you will, some will call them UFOs, um, take notice of, hold on, there's a lot of good people dying. There's a lot of people dying early, dying before their time. What's going on? What's going on? So you have these different rankings in watchers. We have people that are so-called trying or pretending to govern this earth, who are not doing a good job. They're treating us worse than animals in many cases, and feeding us things that aren't food, and make doing tactics to make us fight each other, and many different things to make us sin, if you will, sin against God, in our conscious, and we don't even know it. We're eating things that we're not supposed to be eating, and they tricked us, and we think it's food, and I mean, just so much is going on. But when those beings come down to watch, they're watchers, and when they take notice, they're saying, "Hold on, something's going on. Something's going on the planet. There's a shift of consciousness." But those who are supposed to be keeping and subduing the earth to govern, they're messing up, and so they were left in charge, and they're good. They're going to be in trouble, and they are in trouble, and they know it. So you have last minute scrambling to hold on to resources, to do what they can to get things in place, because judgment is Judgment Day.
Yeah.
Those movies you talked about, Judgment Day, like, I've studied biblical theology and end time prophecy from every perspective, and I've been one to sit in every perspective of that. It's coming one day, to that it's already happened, and both of those are true. Like, there's schools of thought that all of the scriptures, all of it's coming. Like, the end is near, brothers. But then the same amount of evidence and the same amount of eschatology exist for that all of those prophecies that Jesus spoke about, the book of Revelation, all of that it already happened, and we're living post all of it being fulfilled. Um, you have to be able to look at it, um, and separate yourself from both sides, and look. But so, as the things that have happened, it has, like, all of that stuff's happened. Every single bit of it's happened. The Bible prophecies, all of it is going to happen again, and all of it is happening now. It's the Bible is giving us these cycles that the earth is going through, of these phases of judgment, of the Christ energy, the light being birthed into the world to judge the wicked, and the wicked hates the light, and so they persecute the light and the children of light. But when they do that, the angels look down and come down and say, "Hey, you killed a Christ. You killed one of God's children who was innocent. They didn't do anything, and you killed them, and you're persecuting." So when that happens and these souls are rendered up, and the raptures happen, these angels come down to receive souls from the earth. Like, the souls are stuck in the ethers, in the atmosphere, many of them in the earth from the generations before. And these angels, you can catch them on film, you can see it, all of it's so clear right now. But in alignment with Bible prophecy, these ain't certain gates on certain days are opened up, and souls are going into the heavens, and being escorted by the angels. The Jewish mystics, they've been believing this. They've kept this from everybody. They believe that every Sabbath that Elijah comes back and allows the souls from the underworld to go and visit their families, and during the Sabbath and the new moons and things, and we're in alignment. We're not only seeing that, we're experiencing that, because the souls and the spirits that we're in alignment with are coming back to visit us. Downloads, epiphanies, waking up, knowing all types of stuff, crazy downloads, wide awake at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, when these spirits are there, when the certain hours and portals of the day we're being taught. All of this is in the Bible, every single bit of it. And it's nuanced, and we've been told that it's going to happen one day. So we keep pushing the field goal further. And then with that, we're told how it's going to look, that you're going to see a man come back down riding a horse, and he's coming with, it's going to look a certain type of way. So until you see that, in our brains, it's out of sight, out of mind. But we're experiencing all of that, of these Christ, of these energies coming back to work with us, to partner with us, so that we can redeem the earth and render the souls back to heaven that are stuck here, that have died in the illusion, or died in sin and didn't know any better. We're being awakened and taught these ancient processes that we have no idea how to explain. They are biblical. The Catholics know all of this. The Egyptians know all of this. The Babylonians, the Sumerians know all of this. All of the priests know this, but the people don't. The truth is, though, who are the true priests? Who are the true Babylonians? We are. Who are the true prophets? We are. We don't know that. We just think we're just regular people because we've got a regular job and stuff like that. But when you start having these experiences, you start being tapped in, and you're being awakened, and you're being communicated with, then we're asking these deeper questions. And if we'll step aside and channel, if you will, and become a medium for sure, then we allow the spirits of the angels, the spirits of those who have been here before, who know what's going on, to drive and to live through us. And they get resurrected through us and partner with us. And we get rewarded in the process of doing that.
Yeah, and you've sort of used the term, well, you haven't used any term, but like you've kind of equated angels with these extraterrestrial beings or interdimensional beings. Are they, I understand that they really are here to help us ascend and to help us develop, and they want to support us in our growth the way that angels do and guides do. Are they, in your mind, or what do you
Mhm.
think? Are they part of that whole cosmic sort of other side world, or are they other types of beings that have sort of incarnated but onto other planets? So, like we came to the earth and we've incarnated as these human beings. Are they actually quote unquote aliens, or are they also, because it sounds to me like we communicate with them telepathically. That's why we're able to summon them through CE5 meditations, for example. I've been trying. I still haven't seen one. But I know that a lot of people I know have, and that it really, you don't even have to speak it out loud. You can meditate, you can connect with them telepathically. What do you think their nature is and their sort of role is in terms of how they interact with us and also generally?
Yeah, I mean that's the part that makes it a little bit more tricky, because we're looking for the little green men, and it would be
Yes.
easier for the little green men, and we can accept
Right.
the little green men, but can you accept that the Earth is a little green man, or the
Uh-huh.
Earth is a cell inside of a little green man? I'm just throwing that analogy out there, but we do have micro and macro of what's going on. Um, I've never seen a humanoid um, being um, driving a ship.
Yeah.
Many people claim to have, and there's the grays and all that, and maybe that stuff is going on. I use that terminology and talk to a lot of people, but for me personally, I've never, the stuff that I've seen, even with the craft, for the most part, there's most of it looks alive, so it's
Yeah.
not craft. They're like living
Yeah.
entities that
Makes
are
sense.
massive, and and I don't know if they put feet on the ground on other planets or inside of other planets. Probably,
Yeah.
Probably. I don't know. Um, but for what they look like and how they communicate, a lot of the stuff that I'm seeing is like they're able to change shape. So it's something that
Mm,
shows up as a let's just say an orb or a diamond. Like
yeah.
this diamond kind of craft comes in that's like it's reflecting the sun. It's a diamond, and then it unfolds like a transformer or something
Yes.
and turns
That's
into a different object and flies away faster. Like
transformer
so,
is the exact way to describe it.
well, I mean, when you look at even the stories of the Transformers that they're even from other planets and stuff like that, and I mean they hide all of this in the movies. You're talking about the movies, like the movie Transformers, the one that came out around I don't know the year 2005 or something like that. I don't know the year, but Shia LaBeouf. It was called The
Mhm.
Rise of the Fallen. These comets come down from space and they go into the bottom of the ocean and they activate these different transformers, which were Decepticons that were in chains in the bottoms of the ocean that had been there for millennia. And the comets or fallen stars go down and activate them and go into the bodies. So a lot of that stuff, the nuances has been here from the beginning, whether those who were in charge knew about it and are just sharing the secrets, or it's something that its nature is just coming out through everything and people don't even know, that we're telling these cosmic stories over and over and over again because it is cycles and it does work from, as the Bible says, generation to generation. It's a cycle, a circle, a circuit that these things keep playing over and over, which is what karma is, which is what reincarnation is, to keep incarnating until you ascend. You keep going over and over in circles until you ascend and go up in the next sphere of light. So that story it is the Bible story, like 100%. And what they look like and what we thought is I think that all things are possible. You know, anything that
Yeah.
you can believe is as vast as the mind of God is or consciousness is. If you can believe it, it is true somewhere. So
Oh, yeah.
that's
Yeah.
how it works. And if it wasn't, the moment that you believed it as a child of God, it becomes truth. If it didn't exist, the moment you thought about it and the moment you said it, it exists. So CE5, is it just they happen to pass by, or you go out and summon it and create them out of you as being you are a portal, you are a sun inside of you that has the ability to create. So we're really talking about not only outside of you but within you, because the scripture says that heaven is within you. So we're looking at heaven out there, and it is, but it's a mirror, because once you're able to see it within with your eyes closed, as you will, you're able to go out and see with your eyes open, and vice versa. So it's not one or the other. It really works with both. Like being able to
Mhm.
see it within allows you to see it outside of you. I mean, if we know anything about spirituality, that's 101 of manifestation. See,
Yeah.
feel it, experience it, boom, it's outside of you. So even with the angels and even with what you already know intuitively, you just haven't seen it to say, aha, there it is. But you know it because the only reason you know it is because they let you know it.
Yeah.
It really it starts working vice versa. The things that you're seeing within your dreams, the things that you're hoping for. I wonder if this is how it works. That's how it works, and they're telling you you just don't have the faith, or you don't know it yet. To John 15 in the scripture says that Jesus talks about there's coming a time where you'll ask a question and you'll immediately know the answer. That's what it's talking about. I wonder if they travel in horseshoe ships. Yeah, they do.
Oh,
It's
good.
like that's. I wonder the awe and the wonder is the communication that they're letting you know what's going on. Like, and it's so it works with our imagination that it's second nature. That you'd be like, I just thought I just made it up. You didn't make it up. you've been like all if you can trace back everything that you thought you made up, it was a seed from something.
Yeah.
Something influenced it, gave you the download, gave you what the Bible would call an epiphany, which means a spirit gave it to you, an angel gave it to you, a divine knowing, a quickening in the spirit, um, which is has always been happening, and is definitely ramping up.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that today when it comes to manifestation. I was listening to a story about a woman who manifested something she wanted. And she's like, I mean, what are the odds that that would happen? Like she was like, I wanted to connect with this person, but I hadn't seen him in 15 years and I had no contact with him. So I just kept imagining somehow he's in a like he's in a different country and and she said I was in a fight with the friend that introduced us. And she said, I have no idea how I'm going to fall into his path again. But she just kept like imagining it and imagining it. And then one day this person like said, oh, I met that guy. My band was playing and I was there and he wants to work with you. Like it was some random thing where she's like, how would I, would my friend happen to meet him in a different country and whatever. So, but I was thinking, and she's like, look, I manifested it. And now we're in contact. And I said, well, to myself, Shannon, uh, okay, but did you manifest it or was it already part of your path that you were already aware of and you just had an awareness of it because it already existed? And so that's why you wanted it in the first place because it was part of your whatever your life path. So my head got a little tangled up with that this in a good way. I was like, oh yeah, that's so interesting. It's like, are we actually creating it or did it already exist and we're just coming into alignment with it, which I think is kind of both. I think
Yep,
that's kind of one and the same, but it's kind of like a
mhm,
chicken or the egg. Doesn't really matter if it works.
yep. As long
And,
as it
yeah.
works and you're able to you're able to actualize it. You know,
Yeah.
everything is like what the scripture says that um, nothing shall by any means be impossible to them that believe. If you believe it, it's good. You have the ability to will it and to bring it into your life, your moment. Now it takes energy. Sometimes you got to hold it. Like how fast does it take? Other things are some's magic. Some is like instantly. Like some manifestations, some things you say, boom, the next day you learn how to transmute. You know how to hold up your energy and not give your energy to others, or let psychic vampires or clouds come down and suck your energy, or you can take it, hold it, and then harness it and give it to something else, or you can give it to God or give it to Christ or give it to something good. Your finances, your money, same thing, same principles. Think you spending your money and bills and leaks and all kind of things, taking your money, you don't have no money left, right? These things, it's the same principles with energy. So we're learning what things cost, how much energy it takes. The Catholic Church knows this. The government knows this. Everything works off of an exchange of energy. Facebook ads know this. Your penny, your attention is worth this. If we can get us, the I know this, dealing with the narratives, like let me get the narrative. So how can I bring hope into a situation where people are hopeless? Like it's gotta be, you gotta be convincing. You gotta give them proof. We gotta give some things. But if we can convince the masses, or not even the masses, if we can win the majority of that energy for the moment, where two or three are gathered, where it'll shift in that favor. So how much do you believe it? How bad do you believe it? Because if you believe it enough, you can see it. And if you believe it, you're gonna wake up tomorrow believing it. You're gonna hold on to it, and you are gonna give it energy. You are gonna protect it. You're not gonna just tell everybody so they can speak negatively to it, so they can doubt you and say, oh no, you're not supposed to, that's for other people. I've seen it happen, and I've seen it bring people's countenance down. Your best days are behind you. You had your chance. It's your children's turn now.
Right.
Yeah, I want
Yeah.
to be a musician. I love to do this. Oh yeah, you could have, but you're too old. And I've seen them. I'm like, no, don't listen to that, bro. You want it, follow it. How
Yeah.
bad do you want it? Don't let anybody take it from you. I've seen it, I've said it, I've experienced it. I am it with tears in my eyes. Say, listen, if you don't let nobody, like, God gave you that. If that's your dream, That's your burden. It's your responsibility. It's nobody else's. They don't know what you know. They haven't experienced it. They don't have the passion to do what you do. They don't know what you're trying to do. Maybe you're not doing the best at it, but you're trying, you're doing something. Stick with it. And if you stick with it long enough, if you speak life to it, it's going to come alive. And that's law. Like it doesn't matter whether it's something good, something bad. That's manifestation.
So
And it's
true.
practical, but it's spiritual at the same time.
Yeah, and you just pointed out that whether it's good or bad, you can create something that's not in your highest and best good. You can create things just by worrying about them or thinking you want something when really it's not good for you. But also just continually worrying. I'm gonna get sick. I'm gonna get sick. I'm gonna get sick, and ultimately you get sick because that's what you're expecting and that's what you've completely put your focus on.
Yeah. I may have experienced a little bit of that 2 nights ago. We went to the beach
Yeah.
and got burnt. We stayed out there alone. I love the sun. I sun gaze a lot. I spent a lot of time in the sun, but we went to the beach and we spent a lot of time under the open sun. We had a blast, but we all got burnt. And I had experienced many times before of getting sunburnt and getting chills, like
Yeah.
fever coming out of you, like at
It's
night
sun
through
poisoning.
sunburn. Yeah, poisoning. And I was like, man, I hope I don't go home and get, lay in bed and shake with that fever, cold sweats. As soon as I got home and put on different clothes, like I went to shaking and chattering where my teeth were chattering so bad. It was like, it hurt. Like, I mean, it was almost right after I got home, I experienced it. And then I laid in bed and had to have a towel. Like I don't know how long it was, but hours or whatever, I'd wake up, I'm just drenched in sweat, just purging. I don't know,
I've
but
had that before.
it happened. But I knew it was gonna happen, and I said it, and I told people. But like, who's to say that if that me knowing it and me saying it wasn't the thing that willed it to
I
happen?
know. It's
You
like,
know?
is it a premonition or is it a fear-based manifestation? And that's when I got robbed. My ex-boyfriend and I got robbed. I kept saying for weeks, we're gonna get robbed, we're gonna get robbed, we're gonna get
Mm,
robbed. And everyone was like, stop being paranoid, stop being paranoid. And then ultimately we did get robbed. And I still wonder, like, did I know because it was a premonition or did I sort of manifest it? I don't really, it doesn't matter. I just had a curiosity about it of wondering if maybe I brought it into existence, but also I just kept knowing I'm like, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. And so yeah, sometimes you wonder like, and it's actually a good question I ask myself often when I'm making decisions. Is this a fear-based reaction or is this actually a premonition that this isn't right for me? And so that's, and actually I'd love to hear if you have thoughts about that. Well, just why not? Like, how can we kind of discern between what is our intuition and what is fear-based thinking?
yeah,
Or like how do we
yeah.
determine
Anything
which
that's
is
trying to
which?
steal your energy and replace it with bad energy, I would say, that's negative. That's fear based kind of stuff. Like, you know, that makes you focus, hyper focused on it, because all realities exist, and
Yeah.
we have the ability to transmute energy. So, um, but with that being said, the best thing to do, and you're asking the question, so you're already doing the first part because you're as far as you see it and you're wondering what is it. Is it a thing? Did I will that or did that happen? So now the next thing is to do is to practice, is to maybe start smaller and try to will something that seems a little bit far out of reach and then speak it into existence, draw a picture of it, say it as a prayer, these kind of little things that we can do to give it energy and to bring it into our reality and see what happens. And then step out a little further. And then I think that as we're doing that, we notice that we are co-creators with God and with the angels of this existence and this reality, and we're not weak and powerless and beggars and sick and all of this kind of stuff like we've been told. We have everything within our reach that we need according to what the Bible says, life and godliness. Everything we need is already given. We're not becoming, we already are. Everything you need is here. I'm not going to be able to pay my bills, and they're going to shut the power off, and energy's free. I'm not going to be able to afford food. It's not going to be have. We're not going to have water, and man, the rain. There's dew that condensates, and there's ways you can catch the dew and set up devices overnight where you have enough water to drink. All of this is free. All of this is God given. It's already here. The satanic, the illusion is the lack, is the scarcity. You're not going to have enough water. They're poisoning the water. It's not enough for everybody. There's water just pouring out of grounds and out of wells, and there's ways to catch water. Like everything you need, energy. They're going to cut our electricity off. We can't pay the bills. The sun is free energy. The sun is generate literally free energy. Go outside, and there's ways you can generate energy and harness the energy. And so we've got all of these things that are taking our energy, and you have 8 to 12 hours a day where we clock in, and our energy is worth this. Your creativity is worth this. Your expertise is worth that. And people pay you accordingly. That's worth something, but we're spending it, generating it, and giving it away. So with the angels and with all the ufology and the manifestation and all that stuff, the crazy thing is that they're kind of screaming that right now. So not to alarm or anything about the coming famines. I mean, I don't have to say anything. All that's on the internet. I don't believe any of it. But in case, it's like we're showing you how often you need to eat. They're showing you pictures of soup kitchens and soup lines and poverty. And man, listen, you're not gonna have a job, man. You know how beautiful and blissful it is to lay in the grass and stare at the clouds and go swim it, man. Listen, come on, like these images they've given us to put in our heads, that's idolatry. We have everything that we need within us. We and like God is kind of using that, even that stuff, to shake us up. Like, hey, life is short, right? No, it's not. I got forever. No, no, no. No, do what you're supposed to do now. Don't worry about what people think about you. Do what speak your truth, manifest something. And it's everywhere. And I've had so many experiences myself, and sharing this stuff other people. Like we're in a place right now where, when I talk about the narrative, and we have to be careful because we know power, um my students and people who join like what I do and stuff, I'll speak on things that I'm experiencing, and they experience it right after. Like it's that
Yeah.
powerful to say, yeah, I'm meditating, and because I'm just telling them what to look for. And so as I'm speaking it, they're like, it's downloaded into their consciousness, like what to look for. It's all I'm doing. It's not special or whatever. It's like, but it's so close that we miss it.
Yeah.
It's so close that we think it's out there, but they're really in this room right now. But you can't see them, or you thought it was going to look like a human. You thought Uncle Joe was going to look like Uncle Joe when he was 50.
Mm-hmm.
He don't look like that. That was a
Yeah.
body. That was a shell. His spirit is etheric. He don't look like that. It takes energy for him to show up and make a silhouette. Now, the moment you remember in that memory, I wonder what Uncle Joe's doing. That's him. The energy of what they carry. But I don't know nothing about Uncle Joe. The ones that are coming to me are the ones that I'm in alignment with, which are saints, which are individuals who were working with the angels and have mapped out ways to contact and downloads and epiphanies that I think I'm crazy that I'm experiencing. And like I don't want to tell nobody because it's just like crazy. And it's like like a divine knowing, and it's like not even one thing. It's like pages and pages and
I've-
craziness. And it's like, did you make that up? Because then you have to, did I? Is this real?
yeah. I was going to ask you, like, when you receive downloads, as people refer to them as, how do you personally know what's your thought and what's coming from the other realm? And also, do you write them all down, or do you just kind of absorb them, process them, and kind of think
Yeah.
about them?
Most of them I write down. I don't know if I'm even doing it the right way. I'm writing them down could be a screenshot of a
Yeah.
note on the cell phone. So maybe there's a little bit more magic as in grabbing the pen and scribing it down. So, but yeah, I do take notes on everything. It's usually a word or something like that, or scripture that unfolds, and then there's like um it's an invitation of a thought. A thought is an invitation to say, "Hey, I wonder what Uncle Joe's doing. I wonder what Uncle Joe's middle name was. His middle name was this. Oh, I wonder what that means. Let me look it up." And then it just unfolds, and oh wow, that word means this. And so for me, that's how
Yeah,
a
and
lot of
that's
it
where you find the
works.
symbols and the meaning.
And so and it's an invitation to say, "Oh, we got one. He's ready. He's up. He's following signs. Get him. He's ready right now. His hands are open and he can carry something." And then so as you're not going to get more than you can carry. You're not worried about it. Your mind can't even try to. It's usually further than what you can comprehend, but it'll be a little bit for you to even like try to make sense of. It'll be a nugget. It's an invitation. But once the downloads and stuff start coming, and you start trying your best, and it feels like your best isn't good enough, um, and then it feels like you're making it up. I'm like, hold on, I'm not figuring to start speaking this as truth of some imagination that I had.
Right.
That's crazy. Like I'm not going to do that. So for me, what happens because I'm a student, I'm teaching, I'm sharing. That's all I'm doing. It seems to be working. Um, and for me, because I want to know who am I getting this from? Where are you?
Yeah.
In the room? Are you above the house? Are you my answer? What are you? So I end up finding the information. I end up finding where it comes from, usually by just accident, as far as like just in my research all around of like going deeper into a word or an idea, and one thing leads to another, and then finally the aha. And then like so a lot of stuff that comes to me of like these downloads that yeah, you'll be like labeled a heretic and crucified for believing that or speaking that. And then I find a rabbi that lived in the 1700s that believed every single thing that was downloaded to me, and then find out that they died on my birthday.
All
Oh,
right.
oh, hold on, we okay, I could work with that. We got some.
Yeah.
And then we look at the Catholics and how they venerate saints on the day that they died. When that energy comes back around and the stars are above them, they have access to that energy. So do we. We have portals in different days according to our astrological signs and all of that when the energy opens up for us. And we have certain days, all in the Bible. Those guys knew when they wasn't going to sleep. Those certain days, hey, no sleep tonight. We staying up because at 3 in the morning we're getting ready. Jesus had certain experiences. He would take the disciples with him, and they would meet the Moses and Elijah that was teaching him from beyond the veil, where they got to see them in spirit form. And those who stayed up and would like believe him and stay up like at 3 in the morning, they got to experience like things out of this world. And so that's happening like now. Like people are experiencing all of this stuff. Again, I think the thing that it's the nuance. The nuance is the word, because you think like Jesus is going to come through looking like me or something, a beard and
Right.
oh my child in a white robe. It doesn't, because they showed us movies and stuff like of what it's going to look. It doesn't look like that. Um, it is resurrection. It is reincarnation, and there's multiple types, and one of them is that the spirits, one of the um, ascensions or resurrections in the Bible, there was two that I know of, that some come back into bodies and some of them come back in spirit form and revisit the houses and teach their family and oversee those that they're over. But that's not to say that that is physical families, and that's another nuance. It's your spiritual family.
Mhm.
The star systems, the prophets that came before you, the singers that came before you, the songwriters, the painters that came before you, that were anointed, that had magic when they drew, things came to life. Like they can draw just how we can think it and experience it. I can put it in. I'm putting things in my songs that are coming back to visit me and coming into manifestation at deeper levels that I wrote them one way and I'm diving into them years later. I was like, oh God, like, yeah, all of this, the avians, the saints are visiting me. I'm just writing it creatively, nonchalantly, and I meant it very shallowly, spiritually, but
Mhm.
at one level, oh yeah, the saints visit me in my dreams and my like I'm just putting that in the songs and I meant it at one level. It's oh yeah, scriptures come to me or I meant it one way and then to be like bombarded to where literally the saints are visiting you.
That's what happened.
It's like, oh God, I spoke it. That's magic. Magic is real,
Mhm.
and it is Bible. We don't. We just the nuance is, oh, you thought that everybody could read and write in the ancient world. You thought that everybody was a painter. You thought everybody was a singer. No, these were people who were trained, and when they wrote things that happened, when they spoke things that happened, when they put it in a song, it was a declaration. It was a prophecy. It happened. It had power. So that's why when it comes to the narrative and what we're saying and what we're thinking and we're allowing to come out of us, we need to guard the gates because sometimes we're led by emotion. You say, what is me? And what is it's the good or the bad? Good or
Yeah.
that's just it's the fruit of it. If what I judge for, what is me and what is depression, what like they don't never tell me nothing evil. They don't never tell me to hurt myself or to hurt anybody. You know what I'm saying? I do think that's me. You're stupid, man. You're never gonna get it. You don't deserve this, man. You're gonna lose everything. That they ain't, God's not saying that.
Right. That's you.
God's like, I got you, my son. You got this. The best things are coming. Get ready. Hold on tight. We finna get it in. We're
Yeah.
going deeper. I got great and mighty things to show you. It's encouraging. So that's just the simple way to break down what is me and what is trying to help and what is trying to hurt, what is trying to hold me back. All of that's ego, all of that is flesh, all of that is me scared to be laughed at. No, spirit ain't got, they're not studying being laughed at. Laughter is energy. Let them laugh at you. Because when you got, thousands laughing at you, it may be, hundreds of them who need what you got. And the only way they can see what you're bringing is if those people laugh and the algorithms feed into the laughter. So let them laugh. Do little things that feed laughter. If laughter is energy, we'll take that energy because we can transmute it and use it for good. So I went from 15,000 followers on Facebook, stuck there for 7 years at 15,000. I'm at 118,000 in a year.
Right.
So to trigger the algorithms and get all of the attention, it takes attention is energy. You have to pay to get attention for all these platforms. God and the angels, they need attention. If you don't, they don't exist without attention. They're forgotten. That's how the angels operate with the saints from the 1700s. That's not nothing about me. That's it's free game. It's the Akashic or whatever you want to call it. Whoever does this, what can you hold? Or you can't hold that? No, you're not coming to you to give you information. You're not gonna do nothing with it. You're not
Right.
in alignment with it. Now, other, lower levels, things of where you're at, where you can handle intellectually, the prayers, the vibration of your heart, they'll meet you where you are. So that's a universal principle. Because the stars pass by every year, right? And so they look down upon the children of the earth to see who needs help and who's calling out and who's ready for an upgrade, who's ready for to fall and go sit back down. All of this is ascension and descension. It's the name of the game, and they use human bodies. We're a part of this too. We think we're us. the whole falling coming to from the heavens into the earth into a body, that's us. We're not we're from the heavens. This isn't
Yeah.
this isn't our home. We're here for a time, and we've incarnated here to elevate the frequency of the planet, to bring many sons and daughters unto glory, to bring them back home. We come here on a rescue mission to elevate the planet and to elevate the souls that are stuck here.
That's beautiful. Thank you. I think that's such a perfect way to end. I couldn't say it better myself. And I just want to thank you. I know we've covered some various topics, but I just like to listen to you speak. I like to listen to your ideas, whether they're coming from you, or some other entity. I always feel like you have a lot of really thought-provoking insights. So thank you so much for joining me and for sharing your insights with my listeners. You also have your own YouTube channel, podcast, and I'm going to have links to everything below. So if you're not subscribed already to Truth Seekah's stuff, you should be. And I just thank you. Thank you so much for being a bright light in a world that can be sometimes
Thank you for
a bit
having me.
dark. My
Uh,
pleasure.
much luck on your CE5. Try it during the day.
Thank you. I'm
Block the
going to.
sun. Go out and block the sun. Do it where the sun is blocked by an awning or a building where you can barely see the outside of the sun. Do your CE5 that way and see what happens.
Amazing. I'll just say that the other night I was doing it outside, and then all of a sudden, this like string of lights came up, and I was like, that's, oh my God, is it working? Well, it wasn't. It turned out it was not a UFO, but it was so cool. It was a Skylink satellite, Starlink satellite rather, Starlink.
Hmm.
And it looked like LED lights going up. The reason I knew it wasn't extraterrestrial is that it moved so slow, but it was like green fluorescent lights all in a string, floating, 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 and then shot. Excuse me. Shot. Thank you. Floating, 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 and then just went shh, and like all the way across, and then started to dissolve light, like one light by one light. So there I was doing a CE5, and that happened. And it turns out it wasn't UFOs. And I checked the website, and it had launched from, I think it was like, I was in LA. So it was like Chatsworth or something like that. And I was like, oh, okay, that just launched like 25 minutes ago. But I have hopes that it will be as dramatic as that. I was like, wait, did my CE5 actually just work? But it didn't. So thank you for the tips. Really
It
appreciate
worked.
it.
You just got to learn to see them. That's all it is.
Yes. Okay, awesome.
Hmm.
Well, thanks again. We'll talk soon.
Thank you, my friend.